shake it up, shaking up the garbage we feed on, shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin to reform, even if just for a moment, to share the climb. It's my incredible privilege to be with Imogen Evans, and thanks for your time today, Imogen. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yes, yes. We had a few technical issues. For those that don't know that, probably don't need to know that. It happens,
Yeah.
but here we are. Here we are. So yeah, thank you for your time, because I know you're a very, I don't like to use the word busy. I prefer productive. You're a very creatively productive person. We'll talk a little bit in a moment about your current music. I'm
Yeah.
aware of 3 songs that you have currently in Spotify, as I understand it, which are, I don't have a list because I've listened to them and I know them: Freefall, This Insecure Mind, and Residing in Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, great titles, fantastic titles, and we'll talk about those.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll talk about those in a moment. And we'll talk about the work you're doing creatively as well. But what I'd like to do is just get some background to how you've come to be the person you are and the creative person you are, by you sharing, how did it begin? When did you realize that you are a singer-songwriter? When did that start happening?
It's gonna sound really cliche, but like I've been writing since I can remember, really. It's like it's always appealed to me. And like even like when I was really young, I used to listen to Ed Sheeran constantly. And he had a video about songwriting, and he was like, you've got to write 100 bad songs before you write a good one. And that just inspired me to keep going. So I used to write songs about my cats scratching me, and it's just I started by adapting other people's songs and just changing the lyrics, just so that I could get used to writing things lyrically. And then I used to write a lot of poetry, and then as I've grown up, I still turn poems into songs. But I like to go out, like even just like one day on the bus, I was sat behind this guy and I was just really intrigued with like how he was. Like I just find it so strange that like everybody has their own life and you know absolutely nothing about it. So I decided to write a poem on that, and then I turned it into a song when I got home. And I just like to write about the environment around me. So I think when I realized like I can't keep all of these thoughts inside my head, they're driving me insane, I need to put them down. I feel like that was when I realized that music was the way to go for that.
It is. I'm going to say a slightly more dramatic version of what you've said. I think that's a fantastic summary, genuinely, of
Yeah,
the
thank you.
art form of songwriting. I really, really do. You know,
Yeah.
effectively, when you are somebody who is a songwriter, you are an incredibly absorbent sponge. You know, and everything that surrounds you, it's like a fish in water. You know, you become part of the environment you're in. So before I share my thought, when did that begin? And I know you say as far as you can remember. Could you put an age on that at all, if
Yeah.
that's possible?
I think the first song that I like genuinely remember sitting down and forcing myself to write, I was about 8, and I sat in the conservatory for 4 hours straight just writing. And then I came out with something that was okay. It was just like I'd just changed another song. But that was the first like conscious effort that I'd made to write something like properly. And then from then on, I just kept writing and kept writing. And then I learned how to play the ukulele, and then it stepped up. And then I went from ukulele to guitar. And now like since I've started playing guitar, it's really stepped up. So
Wow.
yeah.
So with that, do you think, I'm going off sort of a bit sideways now? I tend to do this at times. Do you think do you think songwriting is a little bit like a muscle that can be exercised? So you mentioned Ed Sheeran, 100 bad songs before you write a good one. So do you think,
Yeah.
I'm thinking for others that are listening, it could be quite a positive message for them, because some people might think, oh, I can't do that. Yeah. But is it something you think you can learn to get better at?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you look at I recorded in the studio with my current producer. I have 8 songs that I recorded when I was about 12, 13 in the studio with my current producer. So he's heard all of my terrible songs from when I was that age and produced them. And now he produces my songs, which I actually am happy with. And it's just like that progression over the course of a few years. I mean, I think that having experiences to write about as you go through your life, if you have something that means a lot to you, start there. Just write what you know. And I feel like you always sort of end up writing what you know, whether you mean to or not.
Yeah, great comment again. Yeah, for me, I wrote from when I was about 7 or 8. I was offered a record contract when I was a teenager. I'm not going to go into that because we'd be here for hours. Yeah, as to what happened next, I didn't take it, and then I've come back to it. I would say probably with real passion in the last several years, but there's so much that surrounds us that we can write about and share. So I think let's go into that then now. That kind of fits in quite nicely with other elements. So you started, from when you can remember. You're the age you are now, and I think, young, old, I think it's irrelevant. I don't think certain labels matter at all. But what I'm interested in is, has it been hunky-dory plain sailing? Is it just that you're one of those fortunate people that you kind of think, yeah, give me a crowd of people, and yeah, I'll be there. What's it? What kind of challenges have you had to face to do what you do now?
I completely agree that a lot of people just think that it's like, oh, you're born with that confidence to perform. And it's like, absolutely not. Especially when I was really young, I would not even talk to anyone. And then I sort of got brought out of my shell as I went through primary school. And then I have had a love for performing probably since I was about 10, 11. I'd have loved getting on the stage. And I feel like it's when I'm singing, I feel confident in my ability and I feel comfortable doing that. But when I'm talking on a stage, that is my worst nightmare. And as I host these open mics around Blackpool, I have to. So hosting them over the past year has made my confidence skyrocket above what it was before. It's just I would not have been able to talk over a mic, and now here I am twice a month doing it. And it's just stuff like that. It's like it takes time to gain that confidence in yourself. And then obviously there's things like writer's block. There's like even recently it's like, because I've got all of the songs written for my first album, and then I'm trying to write stuff for my second album. And I was just like, everything that I was writing, I was like, it's okay, but it's not amazing. And it's like, I want it to be amazing. And I think I'm putting the pressure on myself because my guitar abilities have come a long way since I started to show that in my writing. And I think through overcomplicating it and trying to show off that ability, I'm focusing too much on that. So I feel like a lot of the time you just need to step back and think, whoa, it can be simple and good at the same time. And that's like one of my favorite bands. Well, my favorite band, they have a lot of simplicity in their songs. Mother Mother, incredible, by the way. If you haven't listened to them, do. And Goldmouth, the solo he has a solo project, the lead singer of Mother Mother. His song The People, exactly what I was describing about like everything around you. Absolutely need to listen to it. It's incredible. But yeah,
this is brilliant, and I'll tell you what I'll do for the Spotify version of this podcast. I will play the music you've just mentioned.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As well as, of course, yours. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I kind of think, just again, my brain goes sideways at times. Is when you get to a point of achieving something, it's very, very easy, isn't it, to then measure it by what you've achieved.
So sorry, my cat.
I knew this. What's your cat's name?
That was, of course,
what's your cat's name?
He's called Teddy.
Teddy, brilliant.
Teddy,
so
yeah.
special guest appearance by Teddy, yeah, fantastic.
Special guest appearance.
I'll put that
we'll
in.
We'll probably do it again.
Everywhere this goes out, especially now I've said special guest as well. That's kind of an invitation, Teddy. It's very difficult to measure creativity, isn't it? I chose as a deliberate title for this podcast, This Creative Mind. So a little bit of a play on this insecure mind. But in some ways, do you know what? I think you've got to have an insecure mind to have a creative mind. You know, as creators, we are unfinished symphonies.
Mm-hmm.
There's something missing. So it's not about being complete. It's actually about questioning and wondering and, you know, being fascinated by certain things. So there are gaps. Yeah. So I think for you, because already at the stage you're at, you've achieved what you've achieved. You've got music in the public domain, which is no small thing within itself. Yeah. You've got, I know from your Spotify, you've got people listening to your music and quite a bit. Yeah. You've got people who are, you know, coming to see you perform live. So I think that kind of, I'm not giving you advice, by the way, definitely not. But I think that kind of creates its own pressure. Because then there's a level of expectation, if that makes sense. And I think what you just said, genuinely, I took that to heart. I thought, actually, that's a really, really good way of looking at it, which is to take a step back and just let the process happen. Songwriting, if you think you've got a blank page, you've got a blank page. And if I now say to somebody, right, if I said, now, you and I are going to write a song, I've already created pressure.
Yeah.
Because now we've got a blockage, because we've got to, because we've said we will. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get past that? How do you get past that yourself? How do you, as...
Personally, I tend to just, if I'm putting too much pressure on myself, I take a break and I just think, where is the urgency? There is none. There is absolutely no urgency for me to write anymore right now. There's no deadline. I'm deciding it. It doesn't matter. And I think the best thing that you can do is, especially with me, I want to go more into writing more rock and alternative, because that's the sort of music that I listen to. And I seem to be going more towards like this really like meaningful, more melancholic things. And it's like, if that is naturally what's coming out, then write it, because I think that the songs are good because they're so meaningful to me. And it's like a lot of the time I write my songs with a lot of metaphors, but I know what they mean at the time, and then in a week's time I've completely forgotten what I meant. But it's almost like freeing to write it and then forget it, because you know what you've written about and it's there in like a permanent medium. And I think it's just nice. It's like music writing is definitely like very therapeutic for me. It's like even if I don't share the song, there's songs that I've written that I'd never share, but they just get stuff off my chest and they're there, and I can play them whenever I need to get it off my chest. And it's nice to have something that personal to you that you don't have to share with anyone.
Yeah. That's great. But of course, it does create that sonic connection for others. You know, I've seen you when we'll talk a little bit more about In Good Company in a moment. I've seen you perform. Now, technically, as in, you know, you sing very powerfully, very, very well, and you play and perform very well, but it's more than that. You know, I've heard people who have a real technique and a real ability, but you don't feel. Even funny enough, through your recorded music, through what I've listened to of yours in Spotify, Freefall, and I'm not just singling that out, it really, really punches through. It really punches through, and the emotion is, you know, you can feel it. So you're not just listening to something, and I think that's very, very important through the medium of creativity. We can have lift music. You can listen to something that's just kind of like bubbling away in the background, and that's nice at times. But if we have a world filled with that, we've got no meaning.
Yeah.
And you've just described it, you are a meaningful creator. So
Thank you.
No, I mean it. It's superb, and it's wonderful to see at your stage of life that's what you're doing, and not overthinking how it's going to be heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're sharing you're sharing your experience and what comes to you, and I think from what I can see and I've experienced, that then of course connects with other people. Bowie said, it's one of my favourite quotes ever, never play to the gallery.
No,
so,
not at all.
You know, as soon as you start doing things because that's what you think, you know, people want, it becomes meaningless. It's you, and that really does shine through in what you do.
Yeah, I just feel like if you write something to appeal to the masses, then surely it should appeal to you first. If you're writing it, it's yours and it needs to appeal to you. And I feel like if it appeals to you, then there will be other people who will relate and who will find it meaningful. And then they can make up their own meaning surrounding it. And the fact that something that's so personal to you can be so personal to other people, I think it's just like a really like beautiful thing that it like connects people.
I want to let that thought just sit for a moment. I really do, because I want to honour that thought, because that's it. And I'm hearing that at the stage of my creative life, thinking, yeah, actually, I want to take that thought and apply that to me. That's really great. That's really great. So, you do you help other people to write songs?
I always offer. There's not a lot of people who have asked for that collaboration yet, but it's a lot of people have come to me asking how to get into gigging, how to get into doing like the open mics, and even like how to start recording and how to start writing. So I haven't helped in the actual songwriting process, but there was this girl who came to me a while ago saying, "Oh, I'd really like to get into songwriting. Can you just tell me like where do you start?" And I was like, just write something that you're really passionate about, something that's like straight from inside of you, and it's going to be easy for you just to put down all of these thoughts and feelings onto a page. Something that it doesn't have to be happy. You can be angry, you can be really upset about something, and then just put it in that medium. And it's nice because something that's, especially for me, it's like I've written a lot about negative experiences that have happened to me, and I'm really proud of the songs. And it almost like makes you thankful that you have that material to write about in a way. It's like having experienced that and having like the pure anger and upset, to be able to put it into such a meaningful song is a good thing in itself. So it can really help change your mindset on things, which is nice.
Fantastic. That's the value of the experience, isn't it? You know,
Exactly.
we get the opportunity to reform that into something else, and you know, with ourselves. But that opportunity, in my experience and my knowing, is for many people in different ways. You know,
Yeah.
creativity is not a sideline hobby pastime. It's an
Mm.
inherent opportunity for everybody
Yeah.
in different ways. So I think
Absolutely.
it's great that you're enabling others to, you know, benefit from that experience, that become better at that as well. And I'm going to say it now,
Yeah.
and I mean it because I'm saying it now. Beyond this video call, I'd like to chat with you a little bit about songwriting, and I mean the way
Yeah.
around of, you know, finding out more about the process that you go through, so that
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I
Cool.
can learn and experience more, because that will be a benefit to me, because, you know,
Yeah.
it's a form that's so expansive. It's not limited.
Mm.
So yeah, brilliant. Now, tell me a little bit about music now for you. So I've mentioned a couple of
Yeah.
songs earlier. You mentioned an album, and I'd also like you to talk about In Good Company as well, the work that you're doing locally, your live music. So as much of that
Yeah.
as you can share, please, Imogen.
Okay. So we have got an album on the way. So I'm signed to a record label called The Big Chair, which is my producer's record label. And I've known Kyle for years. I've known him since, like I said, since I was recording in his studio when I was like 12, 13. And then since then, I've been on his band, Auger, which are really good, by the way. I've been on their songs, and then Kyle's obviously producing my album, and it's going to be released under his label. So
Do
that's
you have a time
exciting. That's
scale
got
on that? Do you have a time scale or not yet?
not not really. It's
Not a
this
problem.
year.
Yeah.
It should be in the first half of this year.
Fantastic. Well done.
We've got
And I'm
7 songs recorded.
brilliant. I know you'll let us know, but please do let us know, because that's the whole idea of this Creative Shakeup podcast that I've got.
Yeah,
So I definitely want to play
I
songs
will do.
from the album. Thank you. So yeah, tell
Thank
us a little
you.
bit more about other plans you've got as well.
I've got some exciting gigs coming up next month. I'm at HRH Goth Festival, which is at an O2 venue in Leicester,
Brilliant. Wow,
which is
congratulations.
really exciting. Thank you.
Excellent.
And hopefully some festivals later on in the year. And as I was talking to you about before, I've started working with a band, and hopefully I should be performing with them soon, which will be good. And other than that, I've got the Ingle Company stuff. So we're rebooting the open mics as of February 7th. We're starting at Bootleg, and then I'm pretty sure February 14th is at the Waterloo.
Brilliant.
So the whole thing of the open mics for me is, obviously I've been hosting them for about a year now, and as I say, it's like really, really helped my confidence. And as I say, I couldn't talk over the mic. A lot of people, what they struggle with is, one, talking over the mic, and even getting up there and singing. So just giving young and any age people that platform to to get up and sing and just share their talent, or even poetry. We have poets at our open mics. Any form of like creative talent. Like we've always said, like, come along and give us a song and a dance. Nobody has yet, but yeah, it's just giving people that platform to actually get out there, and then hopefully off the back of it they can start booking some gigs and actually get out onto the local music scene. But I think another thing with it is the collaborations that it can create, because there's like a lot of people who they'll come and they'll start off with backing tracks, and will heavily say to them, do you want to try performing with an artist? And just encourage those collaborations. And there's this girl that I've become quite good friends with, Alyssa. I've played she's actually sung one of my songs while I've played it which is just a really like surreal experience, having somebody else sing your song. But yeah, it's just collaborations like that where you have someone singing and someone playing. It's just really lovely to bring that together and then elevate people's performances. And I'm not sure whether we've got any showcases lined up, but we're still going strong. Yeah.
Excellent. And I think, you know, that elevating performances totally. But I think you're elevating people who have got the courage to try. You know, and
Yes.
and that's not demeaning at all. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm finding it easier to stand on a stage, but for a variety of different reasons, I still occasionally have those voices that say, "Who the hell do you think you are? What the hell do you think you're doing here?" Yeah. Now, I'm just talking of me, and I'm sure that's not just me. I'm sure there are others that feel that way too. So I always admire those that do that, and even those that apparently it looks easy. You know, and it is literally a platform. It's a stage, and both Bootleg and Waterloo, they're incredible venues.
They are.
You know, it's not, I'm not, again, I'm not demeaning open mics. It's not just an open mic. There's a full lighting, there's stage, there's support, you get announced, you know, it's all so well organized. And I think hats off to you, to everybody else involved within Good Company, because it is creating the opportunity for the likes of myself and others to share what it is that we want to share, because otherwise you're writing, and I release music in the public domain, but it's also connecting with individuals and in community. I've lived in Blackpool just over 3 years, and I've got to know through in good company genuinely more people than I'd known in the period of time before then. So, you know, and that's forming like this podcast. I can now sit with you, chat with you, because I've got to know you through that. And then that spurs off into other things. And I think in this creative world, there is no competition. There's no competition. No. In creativity, there is no competition. So how do people connect with you? How do they find out where you're doing what you're doing? And I think, as well as that, a parting message as well, if you can, of encouragement for the creative energy of others, please.
Okay. So you can find me anywhere on Imogen Evans Music. That's my handle on most things. And then on all streaming platforms, it's Imogen Evans. And I share videos. I share videos on my TikTok, on my Facebook, on my Instagram, anywhere really. And you can obviously find me gigging around Blackpool. And as a parting message, just quickly going back to the competition thing, I think that is possibly the hardest thing to get over as an artist. Comparing yourself to others, that's partially like the meaning of this insecure mind. It's like comparing yourself to other artists, no matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter whether they've been in the field half as long as you and you think that they're better, because your better is not going to be someone else's better. It's all about tastes. It's all about preferences. If you are happy with what you are doing, then that is the most important thing. I have to step back and, like, sometimes I'll be on stage and I'll be zoned out performing because I've done the song that many times that I just know it. And I have to force myself to think, if you were doing this 5 years ago, you would be absolutely buzzing. So I have to take a step back and I'm just like, this is your job. You sing and this is your job. That is incredible. That's what you've always wanted to do. And even the fact that I can get by with that as my part-time job while I'm going to college, it's just mental. So I think appreciate what you have. Don't ever let it be like taken for granted, and don't compare yourself to other artists. That's like the main thing that I can say.
and there's more to come.
Awesome.
So we will share the more
Lots more to come
when it comes. Thank you, Imogen.
you.
Take care. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.